Severe storms slammed into West Alabama at first light and worked their way east. In just that first round of storms, 6 people died. Afternoon storms left a wider path of damage with homes and businesses flattened and many people killed. The survivors. One of the tornadoes touched down west of Tucaloosa and tore up the ground, and we want to also tell you about what happened in other parts of central Alabama.
Yeah, right now, Thomas. Okay, Chris Harris joins us from Pratt City. Sorry, Chris, you were a surprise to us right there. You are in one of the triage areas.
Yeah, that's right, Dave. I am in a triage area. Dugan Avenue and Avenue W is kind of where I am in the Inslee area. The scene now is a little bit more serene than it was when we got here a couple of hours ago. But I will tell you that I was able to talk to Fire and Rescue Chief C.W. Martis, and he said that basically what they're doing is they're bringing in the injured from the area and treating them as best they can. They have had one fatality. He didn't get into any specifics as to how many people they have seen, but once they get them treated up, they're either sending them on to the hospital, or if they're able to go somewhere else without further medical attention, then they're putting them on buses and sending them to Boutwell Auditorium to give them a place to stay for the night. But it's all hands on deck really out here. We have EMA officials, fire and rescue, city, county medical technicians, basically whoever they could find to come out here and help has been out here. He did want me to stress that any members of the public who aren't injured and who just may be, curious to see what's going on, please stay away. Let the officials here do their job, because it's going to be a long process, as we all know. They're still in the search and rescue mode, so they didn't have any specifics to give to us tonight, other than the fact that they do have one fatality and many, many injured this evening. We'll have more to report once we know more, Dave, but for now we'll send it back to you.
Certainly is all hands on deck. We thank you, Chris, for being out there for us tonight as well. One of the tornadoes touched down west of Tucaloosa and tore up the ground through Birmingham.
Pleasant Grove and Concord were two of the hardest hit areas in the metro area. At least one person dead in Pleasant Grove, 8 in Concord, and dozens severely wounded. ABC 3340's Honora Gathings is in the area, and let's go straight to her story.
Survivors wore the pain on their faces, in their strides, and on their clothing.
That's when all hell just broke loose. Everything. Bricks fell on my leg. I'm blessed that I'm still even walking. And everything
Dozens of families lost their homes.
It looked like bare land, just debris everywhere. You can't. There's no
my bathroom
houses
across the street. Like, my bathroom across the street.
But they consider themselves the lucky ones. The ones not being carried out on doors by any and all able-bodied men.
It's the best happiness in the world for helping somebody, and the worst sadness and think of what you're looking at.
For 3 hours, crews tried to make 10th Street passable for ambulances. Families watched to see if their loved ones would be lifted from beneath the rubble, and for some, there were a few moments of happiness.
Well, Alabama power crews will be working around the clock to restore power to residents across the viewing area. Right now, 180,000 residents are without power in Birmingham, 158,000 residents without power in the western part of the viewing area, 61,000 residents no power in the eastern part of the viewing area. And a reminder, if you need to report a power outage, you're asked to call 1-800-888-2726. Now, the power outages are also affecting operations at Birmingham Waterworks. We heard Benny Miles just a few minutes ago. Officials tell ABC 3340 that the water intake stations are without power, and if the problem is not fixed soon, and it could be 24 to 48 hours, the water supply could be affected. That could affect the water supply all over our area. And customers are being asked to conserve water only for critical needs while crews work to get the problem fixed.
The same situation is in place for Jacksonville. Power outages are putting a strain on the pumping system for the city water utility, and Jacksonville city leaders ask that people there conserve water as well. Today's storms also left massive damage behind in the Forestdale area. The line of storms were demolished numerous homes there and leveled an apartment complex. A lot of people were hurt, and rescue workers set up a triage area on the scene to prioritize treatment of the injured. One family told ABC 3340 how they huddled together in their apartment as the storm passed.
We was over here looking for my wife. My old lady's looking for her sister. She lost all her stuff, lost everything over here. We're just trying to find her.
These 1 and 2, and these are all the neighbors. All us in 800 building. Her house is completely gone. I mean, you look up outside. When you came in her house, you was still outside.
Now, a huge tornado swept through the Tucaloosa area, skirting downtown and the University of Alabama.
The storm left minimal damage on campus, but it demolished some areas around University Mall. There are 15 confirmed fatalities and hundreds are feared injured. The night team's Isaiah Harper is live in the Druid City, and Mayor Walt Maddox says there's unspeakable devastation there.
That's right, and we're told that there's still a search and rescue effort that's going on all around the city. We're standing here on the corner of 13th Street and McFarland Boulevard. If we pan over here, you see this is a shopping center that was just leveled today. Restaurants and stores, Hobby Lobby, Big Lots, and down that street right next to there is the community called Alberta, and a number of college students from the University of Alabama live down there. I actually talked with one this afternoon, and she told me that she was in her bathroom when that tornado came through. She says only the bathroom was left standing in their house, and thankfully they were able to get out. Many people around here tell me that once that huge, humongous tornado came through here, there was just no escaping it. Like a mountain dropping from the sky, the tornado ripped across central Tucaloosa, essentially wiping out a third of businesses on McFarland Boulevard.
By the time I had locked the front door, the glass had shattered. Everything just went down here from there.
Shamika Robinson was in what used to be a Shell gas station.
The ceiling collapsed on me. The door slammed back on me. I was pinned against the wall.
How did you get out?
By the grace of God, some girls heard me hollering, and they came in and got me.
Her car and others were blown and stacked up, some like blocks. We're told dozens of people were buried and leveled in buildings and homes, many of those off-campus housing for students.
Just saw it swirl and swirl about maybe 200 yards away.
It's now utter chaos for parents and relatives showing up to look for their loved ones.
So sad to see something like this happen, and it's a nightmare.
And again, you're taking a look at that shopping center that was leveled here on the corner. Several neighborhoods, houses were leveled. Alberta, we're told Rosedale Courts, that's one of the housing communities here in the city of Tuscaloosa. We're told, sadly, these areas in the Rosedale Courts, that's where they're pulling some of the bodies from. Also, we should tell you that the city has also opened up a couple of shelters for people who have been forced out of their homes by the storm. We're told that the rec center on the University of Alabama campus, as well as Coleman Coliseum and all of the para-county recreation centers are acting as shelters tonight. Reporting here in Tuscaloosa, Isaiah Harper, ABC 3340.
Isaiah, thank you so much. Well, no structural damage at the University of Alabama, but many students who live off campus have been impacted by the massive tornado that passed through near McFarland Boulevard and 15th. Now, classes and normal operations are suspended tomorrow. UA has opened an emergency call center for parents who have students at the university. Students can also call if they need a place to stay tonight. The number is 205-348-1001, or you can call toll free at 1-877-408-1001. Parents and students can also get updated information by going to ua.edu.
Debris is being spread all around central Alabama, even in areas not directly hit by tornadoes. We have reports of debris from Tuscaloosa showing up in Bessemer, Birmingham, and even as far away as Attala. The storm sucked up shingles, paper, even pieces of buildings, and spread them all across the state. And Coleman is one of the hardest hit areas this afternoon in these storms. A series of tornadoes hit the downtown area, doing major damage to numerous buildings.
And a little more than an hour later, another tornado touched down in the area. The night team's Ebony Hall was in Coleman when the storms moved in. She is in our newsroom with more on what happened. Ebony?
Well, you know, to say that it was a very scary afternoon is a bit of an understatement. We ran into a hailstorm and then arrived at City Hall for shelter just in time. No more than 5 minutes later, after we got inside, that tornado destroyed much of the downtown area. What? Okay. Obviously, there's no audio there, but what you were seeing is video from one of our photographers, our promotions photographer, rather, Don Ward, who was on the ground when that tornado touched down. Now, photographer Marcus Stroud and I, as I said, we had been on the street in downtown Coleman no more than 5 minutes before that tornado came through, and as we saw it coming towards us, we were very frightened. Thankfully, the Coleman City Department there let us get inside the city vault and huddle with them. That is their safe place. So we thank them tonight. And also, we want to pray for the people who are so devastated by these tornadoes that hit in Coleman County today, especially in Hansville and also downtown Coleman. Back to you guys.
All right, Ebony.
Mike and those guys, oh, thank you, Vic. You got our double box going. That's great. But again, this was the tornadoes that was coming through, producing extensive damage. And, you know, we saw that on that sky cam on top of the Tucaloosa County Courthouse, and it breaks your heart because you know that, you know, it's a deal where somebody's going to lose their life down there, and you've done all you can do, and just sometimes it happens. But again, that is an amazing scene, just incredible. I moved to Tucaloosa when I was in the 4th grade, and before that lived in Greenville. And let me tell you what, I've lived through a lot of these things in Tuscaloosa. I often joke it's the tornado capital of the world. But again, seeing something like that, you never, ever get used to it. I was talking, you know, with Dr. Bentley, our governor, about that. We're both from Tuscaloosa, and we've been through so many of these things, but it doesn't make it any easier. And again, the damage is extensive in places like Fultondale and places like Pleasant Grove, and obviously in Tuscaloosa. In Jasper, around Argo, the community of Argo, up in Hackleburg, Coleman. It will take a long time to tell all of these stories. It is so sad, and I've said this many times, you don't know the scope of a tornado tragedy until the funerals begin the following week. That's when it hits home. And unfortunately, there will be at least 53 of those next week because of the loss of life. The death toll is currently 53. Look at the debris on that thing. That is just amazing. And again, you're watching a very strong tornado signature on radar. It's about to cross around the Lake Mitchell Dam on the Coosa River. This thing has come on east of Interstate 65, crossing over into Coosa. Boy, that thing's tight. It's amazing how, Jason, the structure, I thought it was going away. But on a day like today, they're not going away.
Well, you know, supercells, they go through those cycles. They occlude and then they wrap back up. And a lot of times when we talk about one single supercell that has made the track, like the one that went from northeast Mississippi or northeast Mississippi through Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Ohatchee, through Piedmont. And by the way, I'm getting some Twitter reports and unconfirmed information that there have been some serious problems up around Ohatchee, too. So if someone in the newsroom wants to get in touch with Calhoun County EMA, I know we've already been doing that, but to get a little official information about what's happened up around Ohatchee, there's some things coming in on Twitter that are very concerning about maybe some loss of life in that part of Calhoun County, too. But these supercells, as I was saying, they will occlude, or the actual circulation will wrap up. And the cool air and the warm air just they can't interact anymore. So the tornado will dissipate, or the circulation will dissipate, and then right south of that point, another circulation will develop. So often you get a family of tornadoes, or a supercell that has multiple updrafts, and one just replaces the other. So you have a system of thunderstorms as opposed to one single thunderstorm that lasts a while. So this thing that's just east of Cooper now, worse and worse. EF4 tornado, possibly, maybe an EF5, depending. You know, the damage in Tuscaloosa was just unreal. But what we see in Chilton County, we don't have any reports of damage. I don't take that as a positive sign yet, because it took us a long time to get damage reports in from Coleman County, and it took us, 9 hours to get reports from Marion County because of the fact that we had such a damaged infrastructure from morning storms. That didn't allow any communication whatsoever. The NOAA weather radio tower was down for a long time up in northwest Alabama, and we just had a worst-case scenario today. When you had that line of storms come through this morning, it just provided an absolute worst-case scenario for us.